George Masa was a Japanese commercial photographer living and working in Asheville at the turn of the last century. He's well known for photographing and mapping out the Smoky Mountains. Much like Ansel Adams' photographs of Yosemite, Masa's landscape of the Smokies helped the National Park Service decide to establish them as the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Now, today we have cameras in our hands pretty much all the time. But back in the 1900s, in the early 1900s, you pretty much just had cameras like these, and it required a great deal of expertise to use them. So if you wanted a photograph of pretty much anything, you had to hire a professional photographer. Such as if you wanted photographs of your family members, you went to a photographer's portrait studio and you had portraits done. George Masa was often hired as a photographer throughout Western North Carolina.
It is called the George Masa Photograph Database Project.
Angelin Whitmire is a photography historian, and she has created an online collection of his photography, GeorgeMasaPhotoDatabase.com. I've recently had the opportunity to sit down and talk with her about her database and how Masa's photos not only created a national park, but they also create a time capsule for us to look into Asheville during the Roaring '20s. Why did
I do this? Because I had done some research and found out about him as a photographer in Western North Carolina. And so I decided to make this database which lists everything I could find, and found quite a few photographs. Yeah, a total of about 1,800 different images. Much of Masa's work was in the Smokies and along the Appalachian Trail, and what the contribution was that he made there. My piece is to say he did more than that. He was a photographer of his time, the mid-20s, early 30s. There are things that he photographed historically that were built just now. You know, this is really important. We've got this new building we want to let people know about. So he's taking things that, yes, were historically important at the time, that we can look at now and relate to and say that building is still here. So he's documented his own time, and as we find more of these photographs, we can learn more about that time frame, the 1920s, 1930s. He's more than the Smokies. He's more than the Appalachian Trail. As important as those are, he also did all this other kind of photography. And he did it well.